Welcome back to CSI 252, Introduction to Web Development. I'm sorry there's been quite a gap here, but just had to take care of some things. So, if you look at the Moodle site, we are in week 11, and I am currently addressing material that should have been populated in week 9, but I will catch up. And we're going to start talking about CSS, cascading style sheets. And so I've posted some things here in week 9 after the homework 4 assignment, which is about image maps, which goes back to the weeks before the break, I think. There's the break. We had our midterm exam, which probably should have posted some material in there, but we talk about image maps in week 6 or 7 there. And so we're all done with that. We have this one homework assignment. If people are having trouble with that, please let me know. But in this next section, having learned quite a bit of HTML, basically learning tags and how they control the rendering of a web page, we now can start to apply styles. So a lot of what we have done before are to use what are called web defaults. Whatever browser you're using, be it Firefox, Internet Explorer, Chrome, Chromium, or Safari, or other fine browser, that browser has defaults for how it displays a paragraph, a heading 1, a heading 2, and so on and so forth. It has a default font and all that sort of thing. Those are style matters, and so if you want to produce a good-looking website, you want to take control from those web defaults and present your material in the best light. Now, we've done some of this CSS in a way, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but the very first thing I wanted to do is go back to February 22nd through 28th. I sent out a course announcement saying that one of these files here, some quick HTML vocabulary review about tags, etc. I had to repair that because I made some mistakes in vocabulary, and I guess I have been making those mistakes for a long time. So, instructors need to double check themselves. I thought we'd just take a look at some HTML vocabulary because that's going to lead us into the CSS type stuff. I'm going to bring up that file in my file system. Right here. And here is the picture from one of our web web page examples we did back in week 5 and 6. And I need to straighten out some of the things I labeled these with. I also mentioned in the announcement that I would look at the midterm exams, which I will do. Because there was a question on this word attribute, and I have a feeling that some people had this entirely right and I goofed it up. So I will look not just at that one question, but I'll look through the exams and see if there's anywhere where this vocabulary makes a difference, and I will mark those exams and put those upgraded day grades in, and they will be used toward the final grade. One more time, your midterm grade is just an indicator, and I don't freeze any portion of your work to count as, toward your final grade. If you get all the work in, I will count it. Now, that being said, please don't turn it all in at the end of the semester, because I may not be able to get to it, and I reserve the right not to get to it if it's too much. But get it in. If you find something and you want to improve it, let me know and improve it, But at any rate, an HTML tag, we've seen these tags. They start with the less than sign and end with the greater than sign. Here's an example of a tag that has some HTML attributes in it, which allow us to control the appearance of this table in this case. And these are not style attributes. These are things that we can control in HTML without style attributes. We can control cell spacing in the border and the width of this table, so that it goes up 100% width of the displayed web page. If you come down here, you'll note that we're in the midst of a table. There's a table row. This table row has a table data, and in that table data is a level 1 header, and it has a style attribute. Style equals, and then you have these value pair here, like text align : center, and then the actual text goes over over there. But here we are applying a style, and so this is an HTML tag. The H1 is anyway. And then it has an HTML tag style attribute. Not just a normal attribute, but a style attribute. Style attributes are what we put in style and style tags in the head section. Previously, to create a style, we could use multiple times, or we can create reusable styles in a separate CSS file. That's the CSS part that we'll add after the midterm break. Well, here I finally am, and we're adding that CSS part of the course in. Here's another example of one. We've got an HTML tag with a style attribute in it, and it says style equals, and then in the HTML tag attribute value, so in the style attribute value, there's this pair, and it's text dash align. That's called the property, and it's all enclosed within quotes. And then the next thing after the colon is called the keyword, and it's sometimes called a value. And keyword or value are both fine. You can imagine it as a value, because this is sort of a property, and this is the value you're giving that property. Or this is a keyword to describe the value you're giving that property. So I don't want to get too off in the woods here, but there's a pair of entities here. One is a property, and the other is something specifying what that property is going to be. And this is the nature of CSS. We can put styles on everything. So I just wanted to go over that. So this vocabulary here is what we should be using, and it's what I will use for the rest of the course. And I plead my case as just an idiot sometimes. All right. So I'm going to close that off with one mention here. In the next couple minutes, we'll be describing this kind of style as an inline style. We're defining a style right in line with our code. So it's an inline style. So I'll take that down, and now I'm going to look at some of the stuff that we have done previously and how we've used styles. If you go back to, I guess this really should be over here. If you remember this one, CSI 25260 web page template 0003.html. We had a web page, and this is where I got fancy and actually embedded these escape characters, so that if you look at this web page, let's move from HTML attributes to HTML inline styles. There we go again. That's an inline style, and they're an attribute in their own right. They are style attributes. And if you look at this one here, it says you can set the color of a paragraph, and it says, let's do it this way here so you can see it better. You can set the color of a paragraph, and here's your P tag to start the paragraph. But in that tag, we add a style attribute, and the the property is color, and the keyword or value is blue. And there's the paragraph, and at the end of the paragraph, we just end that tag. So, and this is what it looks like. This is your average paragraph, blah blah blah, and it's blue. That's great. Here's another one, a style attribute, inline for a paragraph. Font family Courier, and it uses the same paragraph. And here we are. This is the Courier font. If you've ever typed on an old IBM Selector typewriter, Courier was one of their fonts. And you can set the font size of a paragraph. Here's what the code looks like. And then here's what actually happens. It's 50 pixels high. It's a style attribute, and it goes on, and text centering, and so there's a lot of styles you can apply to HTML tags, and add this to your text. The problem with this is inline styles can be used effectively, but if you did everything with inline styles, you wanted to change kind of a theme in the way your website looks, you'd have to go find every place in every web page that had that style attribute, or that that kind of text, or whatever it is, that thing that you want to now represent a different way, maybe with a different color, or put a background behind it or something. So just coding a lot of inline style attributes, and even a lot of inline HTML attributes is not the greatest thing, because you wind up with all this code, with all this styling information spread out all over your code. It makes a large maintenance task for producing a stylized web page. So that's why CSS came about. It was to provide a styling mechanism that was more economic and maintainable for the for HTML based web pages. So this was back in CSI 25260 HTML web page template 3. You saw some inline styles there, and we had a few more in this HTML template 5, and I have that code here. What we did in this case, we didn't do the inline styles as much. Well, let me look down here and see if we had any inline style attributes. I see HTML attributes to control certain things, but I don't see style attributes. We put all our style attributes up in the head section, and we put them between the style and /style tag and end tag, and put that information there. And what you see that we have these items right here, which are called selectors. And with selectors, we're basically saying anytime you see a table header, or table data, then it should have a border around it. And that border should be, this entire thing is the keyword or value, if you will. Border is the property. 1px space solid space black is the value or keyword. Border collapse property, we want it to collapse. I believe that brings it down from that double line to a single line. And furthermore, for table headers and table data, but obviously not for tables, we want the padding to be 15 pixels. And for table headers, we want the background color to be this would be a pretty dark color. It's pretty close to black. I think it looks black as we look at it. And we'd like the text alignment to be to the left. Again, these are properties and values or keywords, property and its value or keyword. Then we have something here that's kind of interesting. We have, for a certain kind of table, this is called an ID selector. This is a simple selector. These selectors just select all tables, all table headers. The # table 01 is an ID selector. This will only apply to a table that's been marked with an ID of table 01. And here we have a selector TR, so all table rows. And then this thing, I believe, is called a pseudo selector, and it says for all the nth child even. So for all the even table rows, we have a background color that's I guess this is some kind of a gray. And for the odd ones, we have a background color that's some kind of a white, I suppose. Whatever it is what it is, but there's our form. And again, here's a selector for all the table headers that are in tables identified with an identifier of table TBL01. We want the color to be white and the background color black. So and then that's the end of the style section. So we've introduced a couple new things here. We got the idea of a selector, and then this thing is called a block. The curly braces here is called a block, as it is in most programming languages. And so here's simple selectors, and we can apply styles to multiple styles to, say, table header. And it looks like 3 different styles blocks are going to get applied to table header, and 2 different ones to table data, and just this first one to table. Then we have for table rows, in fact, for the even numbered table rows within tables identified as TBL01, we're going to apply a style, and for the odd rows in tables identified as TBL01, we're going to apply something different. And the table headers in tables identified as TBL01 are going to see these styles applied. So this kind of thing, the pound sign here, represents an ID selector, whereas these guys in kind of a pink color here are simple selectors. And I believe this thing here is a pseudo selector or something like that. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, everything else down here is regular HTML tags and attributes, not style attributes. All our style attributes are contained here. This kind of way of doing things is called internal CSS. So previously we saw inline CSS. Here we've seen internal CSS. Now to go back to our so there's our code for this thing, and this is if we go down here to look at our table. Here's our table. Now let's go look at this thing one more time. We have one table here. It's got a bunch of pictures and text in it. Okay, and it's kind of weird. Something happened in this first one. I guess we didn't get this quite taken care of right. We got the only one that was gray is this guy. So the odd numbered rows are supposed to be gray, and they do look that way. But I noticed that our first row is not proper. So I guess we need to. I need to figure out how one handles that. I got fancy by putting two pictures of Mount Greylock in, but what I did is I confused my styling, and I didn't get a gray style across that entire row. So that is my bad. But this is our table, and looking in our code, here's our table, and it says ID equals TBL01. So those things that we did in the, again they call this internal styling, where you put your style and end style in the head. And there are three different styles here applied to table rows and table header, only in tables identified as TBL01 style tables. All right. So okay, so that's called an ID selector. These other guys are simple selectors. And the last case is a case where we would actually have external CSS, and that's where you have a CSS file. It's a file that ends in .css. And I have one here. It's called mystyles_0001.css. And I'll post all these files. I intend to put where I've stolen all this stuff from, so you can follow it along, because I put pointers to these various tutorials in the course web page, course Moodle page. So you can find these. You can find them through this, and you can also see their titles. You can start right at the beginning of various tutorials. So here is a, and in fact I'm going to do something here. We're going to use this file with two different HTML files. But this is a CSS file. Comments in CSS are the classic /*//. They don't use the Octothorpe that you see in, or not Octothorpe. They don't use that less than exclamation point dash dash that you see in HTML files, like this is a comment right here, less than sign, exclamation point dash dash, then you put some text, and then you finish it off with dash dash greater than sign. So those comments are for that. That's a style of comment you do in HTML files. If you wanted to put comments in CSS files, and comments are generally a wise idea, then you use the classic /*. Now we only have a couple different style blocks here, and we're using simple selectors. The entire body of the web page that uses this CSS file, the background color will be light blue, and the any header ones in that web page will have a color of navy, and they'll have a margin on the left side of 20 pixels. So here is the sheet that's going to use this, and this is external CSS. So we come down, we do HTML, we have our head and end of head, and in here we have a thing that says link rel equals style sheet, href equals my styles under 0001.css, and it's in the same directory. That's why I can use just the file name. If it were in a different directory, I'd have to make sure that my file path name here was specific enough that the web browser who's rendering this could find this style sheet. So in the head section, we have an indication that we have a CSS file, and that's like putting this stuff in the head section, if you will. So we have it here. We're going to have a body background of light blue, and the H1 guys are going to be navy, and they're going to be shifted right a little bit by 20 pixels. So that's all good. So now if we go to look at this, let me see, is that our, this looks like our, no, sorry, I'm so sorry. Here is our code. This is a level 1 heading, and then there's kind of some escaped code there. This is a paragraph, this is another paragraph. And if we look back at this, the paragraphs won't be affected, but the H1 header will be. Its color will be navy, and it'll be shifted right by 20 pixels. And the body will have a light blue, and indeed, the body background is light blue. The text of the level 1 header is blue, and it's shifted right. I guess that's 20 pixels. And there's your first paragraph and your second paragraph. Now, to show a different example of this, multiple styles will cascade into one. This is why they call them cascading style sheets. And I think the best way to do this actually is to go to the W3 School's website, and I copied their stuff and I have it on here. Well, I guess we could do this. Let me go in here, and just want to make myself a copy because I'm going to change some things in here, and where's our CSS file? Here it is, right here. Just gonna make copies of those in case I change them here. So we have a text editor, we have a CSS file, and we have we have a file here. This is, no, that needs to be fixed. This is file 2 or 0002. Now it has a link to a it says link rel style sheet type text/CSS. That's a default. href equals my styles under 0001.css, same file as before. But we added a style after that. Here in this document, we said style and end style. The simple selector says body, and in the block it says background color for the property and linen for the value. Okay. Now, as you might imagine, that is going to override this external file. So we would see linen. But then what did we do? We came down here, and in the body, even though the body would be specified in the CSS file as light blue, it would be specified in this internal style as linen color. We did an inline style attribute and made it lavender. Well, if we go look at this page, and it's got an H1, you know, multiple styles will cascade into one, couple of paragraphs here. So let's go look at it. And there's our multiple styles will cascade into one, and there's our 20 pixels being shifted to the right. Now, the background here is lavender. I hope that comes through on the video, but I can attest that this is lavender on my computer. If we were then to go into our editor, and if we got rid of the inline style, so if we got rid of the lavender, we should now fall back to the linen. So I'll save this file. I'll go here and reload this web page, and now it's a color called linen. Looks like a sandy, creamy color, and nothing else changed. But the inline styles, remember we have inline styles, internal styles, and external styles. The inline styles will override everything. The internal styles, if they're after the style sheet, will override the style sheet. And then the style sheet, of course, is the basis. And the style sheet overrides, remember, the web defaults. I'm sorry, the browser defaults in styles. All right. So let's go back to our editor, and now let's get rid of this style and see if we go back to light blue as a color, because that's what the style sheet says. So I'll get rid of this style body background color linen. I'll save that, and now according to the CSS file, anything that is a body should have a background color of light blue. So I go over here and I reload it, and this, hopefully you can see that that's different than the lavender. This is actually a light blue. So now you can see the precedence of the style attributes and how they cascade. So you can you can have styles defined in an external style file, and for a given web page, for a given file, you can override them in the head section with a style and /style tag, and a selector and a block and all that. And so you can override the CSS file with internal styles. And then if you get to a certain element in your HTML file, you can use inline styles and override everything. Now, obviously, one doesn't want to do too much overriding because although this cascading can be a nice feature to use in developing a website, one wants everything to be maintainable. So, that's where you want to do as much as you can in the external CSS file, and most places do that. You're going to have a sale for a week, then you can obviously use inline or internal formatting to override something and highlight a paragraph and say, 20% off this week on everything, So that's a basic overview of CSS, and we'll be going into a little more of that in the next lecture, and we'll have a few really simple homework exercises to follow that up. So I hope to see you soon. Thanks for your patience, and we'll be cranking along on this directly. Take it easy.